Another tool that has great versatility is called a 22-foot line. It's basically the same material, the same finish as the 12-foot line, just double the length. So I've used different lengths. I've used 20 feet, I've used 25 feet, and you know what? 22 feet seems to be just the right amount of distance to challenge my communication, give me some flexibility without too much rope. And believe me, you can get too much rope in a hurry. But 22 foot seems to be just a really nice transition for that next stage of challenge in your communication with a horse. When everything feels pretty easy on a 12-foot line, go to a 22-foot right away. Okay, if things fall apart for you on the 22-foot line, you know where you need to go back to on your 12-foot and get it better. Okay, but don't get stuck doing everything on the ground on your 12-foot line. You'll get bored. Horses get really bored. They start going, you know what, I need a little more challenge. Larger diameter circles are actually physically easier for the horse to move on. So one of the things I'll mention on a halter and lead, and I talk about it in the teaching videos, is in the beginning, I don't ask a horse to canter on a 12-foot diameter circle. It's too hard on him. One of the most advanced maneuvers you can ask a horse is to do a canter pirouette. That's a canter in a pirouette. So the smaller the diameter of the circle, the more of a challenge mentally, emotionally, and physically to the horse. So when you're asking a horse online circling to start cantering, make sure you've transitioned to a 22-foot line by that time. I just like to mention that because sometimes people, you know, and a horse will do it, bless their hearts, they'll do it and you'll figure it out. But I just want you to know there's a lot of torque on that horse's body in those small diameter circles. They have to be physically conditioned, mentally, emotionally, and physically to be able to do that. So 22-foot line is a real key. This tool is designed after a very old style by an Australian horseman named Cale Jeffreys. And he used this length of line, not this material, but this length of line. It was called a 22-foot ring rope. Now the ring rope, and this is what's a little bit different between this and the 12-foot line. On the 12-foot line, there's a snap that can come undone, but this has a ring in it. And the reason is because on some of the uses of this 22-foot line, you could take this and put it through, and this is what Mr. Jeffreys would use it for in taming wild brumbies. If you Google Cale Jeffreys, you'll see there's some video footage of him and things that he would do with wild mustangs. And he would use a ring rope, 22-foot line ring rope, and he would take this and put it over the horse's head, giving it little tugs, and because the ring is so open, it gave an immediacy of release to the horse. So you'll see that in that use, and that's where the original design of this came from. Now, what we'll be using it a lot for, and you can do this, you can put this around a horse's leg, teach it to lead by the leg. You can put it around the girth on a colt, teach it to get used to that steady pressure around the girth before you saddle. There's a lot of versatility to this. So what you'll use in the advancing series is that you'll start learning how to ask all your ground skills on a longer distance to challenge your horse. So that's why this little carabiner clip is important to use. And when you clip that on there, and there's lots of different kinds of carabiners, there's some that are at different angles. Carabiner is basically a climbing tool for climbing ropes, and some of them are at angles. And when they're at an angle, have an angle underneath, they're imbalanced a little bit. So it's important to have the right kind of carabiner even on this. People are going, even the carabiner is specific, and actually it is. So the carabiner is important. You attach that to the rope halter, and now you've got a 22-foot distance to be able to challenge your horse with more and more things, maybe over jumps. If you're teaching a horse to get handy with its feet, go over cavalettis or small jumps or even big jumps. You want to be able to have enough rope that when the horse makes a big movement, you can let that rope slide through your hands. So you're not inadvertently, when they make a big move or a big jump, they're not getting banged in the nose because you've run out of rope. Okay? So again, you want to go through the basics before you go to a 22-foot line, because that is a lot of rope. And you can't get away with just one simple fold when you're carrying this. You have to get to where you're handy with your ropes, but again, you're just putting it back and forth. You're never wrapping it around your hands. You're just having it go back and forth. So if a horse did get in trouble, it wouldn't take you with it. Okay. So that's really the purpose of the 22-foot line. Again, it's finished the same way as a 12-foot line. There's a weighted end to it so that there's more accuracy on the end right here. It gives you more distance with your horse to challenge it. You can tie this around and make a set of driving lines. There's just so many things that you can do with this rope. It's just really a handy thing to have. And again, the more you use it, the better it'll feel. And I enjoy thinking about the time when you'll start going to longer distances and giving more challenge for your horse, and studying the advancing series of videos to see the versatility for this kind of a tool.